Telstra profits fall nearly 15%. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I thought we'd continue looking at reporting season information with Telstra's latest financial year 20 results. Now their profits, among other things, are down nearly 15%. So grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at the results here from Telstra. Now, if we jump over here, before we go through their announcement, we see their shares are down 23 cents today at $6 or 6.78% down. Their dividend yield is 3.14%. Their 52-week high is at 394, and the 52-week low is at 287. Let's jump back 6 months. We can see in Feb they were at $3.79. They took a bit of a hit, not that much compared to some of the others. We'll pull out a bit further to see they've been on a decline for the last 5 years. We go out to the max data. Well, since 99, we can see they've been moving down since then. So let's jump through and have a look at this. Because I was talking to one friend and he thinks, he's interested in Telstra as a dividend payer. So Telstra delivers financial year 20 results in line with guidance, maintains the dividend, and provides guidance for financial year 21. So they're maintaining their dividend. That's different to what we're hearing from some other businesses as they're reporting during this season. So reported total net NPAT, which is net profit after tax, and earnings before interest, depreciation, and amortization, is in line with market expectations. Strong growth in numbers and mobile services. Well, I can't say I'm too surprised. You think if anything, they'd have some extra special growth at the moment because of all of the people working from home. Good progress on T22 strategy, which is more than halfway through. A final dividend of 8 cents per share, bringing the total dividend to 16 cents per share. On track to achieve 2.5 net cost reduction target by financial year 22. So 2.5 billion. Thursday, the 13th of August, 2020. Telstra today released its full year results for financial year 2020, which were in line with guidance and market expectations. The board resolved to pay a fully franked dividend of 8 cents per share, comprising a final ordinary dividend of 5 cents per share and a final special dividend of 3 cents per share, bringing the total dividend for financial year 20 to 16 cents per share. This will see 1.9 billion returned to Telstra's shareholders for the year. Telstra also provided financial guidance, including assumptions on a range of metrics for financial year 21, giving the market clarity on its expectations for the year ahead. CEO Andrew Penn said the results showed that through the challenging period, Telstra continued to deliver for customers, supporting its people and the community while generating long-term shareholder value. 2020 is proving to be an enormously challenging year for everyone, from government, businesses, communities, and from all of us individuals. The emotional, mental, and economic stress as a result of the pandemic and necessary restrictions are profound, Mr. Penn said. Through this extraordinary disruption, both the pandemic and bushfire crisis, Telstra was challenged to adapt to find new ways to support our customers, our people, and the country in a time of need. I am very proud of the way our team responded while dealing with the implications on themselves personally. The pandemic period has also highlighted that connectivity has never been more critical. We have witnessed a huge acceleration in the digital economy, an area now critical to a fast economic recovery where Telstra has a key role to play. The reasons we introduced T22 2 years ago, a need to rapidly simplify and digitize, to remove customer pain points, to remove legacy systems and processes, has never been more relevant and necessary. And well, if any of you have dealt with Telstra, you're familiar with the idea of customer pain points in dealing with their organization, particularly some of the online services that they have. Importantly, it says a lot about the strength of our business and strategy that through all this we were able to meet guidance, maintain the dividend, and provide guidance for the year ahead. We've also retained our strong balance sheet and A brand credit ratings. On a reported basis, total income for the year decreased 5.9% to 26.2 billion, and net profits after tax decreased 14.4% to 1.8 billion. Reported earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization was 8.9 billion. After adjusting for lease accounting on a like-for-like basis, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization decreased 0.3% to 8.4. On a guidance note, underlying, how do you pronounce it? Is it just an acronym? EBITDA declined 9.7% to 7.4 billion. Excluding the in-year NBN headwinds, which gives the clearest view of the long-term business, underlying EBITDA grew by approximately 40 million, with growth in the first half of the year offset by a second half decline. Telstra continues to grow its customer base in financial year 20, in spite of a competitive and challenging market. At the end of June, and while reaching approximately 1/3 population coverage with its 5G network, Telstra also announced refreshed plans for mobile customers, which include increased data allowances and saw 5G included on most plans. This is going to be interesting to see the 5G rollout and the impact that will have on NBN. I mean, if you can get fast 5G that can compare to wide NBN, how many people will need it? How many people will need it? Telstra's multi-brand strategy continued to deliver subscriber growth, particularly in mobile, where it added 240,000 retail post-paid handheld mobile services, including 154,000 from Belong. It also added 171,000 retail prepaid handheld unique users, 347 wholesale services, and 652,000 IoT services. Overall, mobile revenue declined 461 million in financial year 20. Reported post-paid handheld ARPU declined 8.2%, or 6.8%, excluding the impact of the pandemic on international roaming. So, in the fixed business, revenue continued to be impacted by NBN migration, alongside the continued decline of voice and legacy services and operational issues. Through a focus on differentiated customer experiences, including the Telstra Smart Modem, the company continued to have a market-leading share with 46% of the estimated NBN market, excluding satellite. NBN wholesale pricing remains the largest negative impact on our fixed business. Without some sort of long-term change leading to improvement in RSP economics, the risk of retail price increases, reduced customer experience, or customers moving onto other networks such as 5G will increase. In Telstra's case, the profitability of reselling the NBN is negligent at best. That is not sustainable, said Mr. Penn. This is just what happens when you get the government involved in NBN, in the rollout of this. It's frankly been an utter disaster in some regards, but that's probably time for another video. Notwithstanding these comments, I do want to acknowledge and applaud NBN's response to the pandemic. NBN acted swiftly to increase capacity to RSPs during this time at no charge, enabling RSPs to support their customers as they move quickly to work and study from home. See, this is the thing. It's all an artificial. They put artificial caps on everything to charge you more and to make their money back on it. And the government has created this ludicrous monopoly in it. And this is why when people are critical of Labour or Liberal, I mean, there's so little difference. Just look at the NBN. There was a methodology in how they roll it out, but during the year, Telstra reduced underlying fixed costs by 615 million, or 9.2%. This brought underlying fixed cost reductions achieved since financial year 2016 to 1.8 billion and put Telstra on track to achieve its 2.5 billion net cost reduction target in 2022. Telstra has announced 12,000 indirect role reductions and 7,300 direct workforce role reductions since it launched T22 in June 2018. As at the end of June 2020, the direct workforce was around 5,700 lower than 2 years ago. This figure includes 1,600 new roles recruited, like software engineering and cybersecurity, and some additional roles brought on board in response to the pandemic to mitigate workforce offshore capacity issues. In March, we put all job reductions on hold for 6 months to give our people certainty during this difficult time, said Mr. Penn. Wow, 6 months. So nice. So nice. See, this is the thing why people are arguing for a full-time job. It doesn't give you that much more security most of the time. Maybe a month of notice. As we approach the end of that pause, it is clear the impacts of the pandemic will be with us for some time. We have therefore made the decision to keep our T22 productivity role reductions on hold for permanent Telstra employees in Australia and internationally until February next year. We know many are doing it tough at the moment, and we hope this decision will give some certainty to our people in what is a very challenging time for Australia and many of the countries in which we operate. There will be some roles that finish in the interim where projects have come to an end or work is no longer required. Volumes have declined or fixed-term contracts end, particularly related to our involvement in the construction of the NBN. However, for the majority of our teams, this will continue to give them some certainty, at least until the new year. That's not much time if you think about it. That's only a few months. And if you're in a job like Telstra, where are you going to go? What chances are there going to be for people? Just something to think about, everyone. Seeing the benefits of T22, Telstra confirmed that nearly 3/4 of the measures used to monitor progress against its T22 strategy were now either completed or on track for delivery. Digital engagement grew substantially, accelerated by the impacts of the pandemic. By the end of financial year 20, over 71% of Telstra's service transactions happened via digital channels, up from 53% at the end of financial year 19. The new My Telstra app, which replaced the Telstra 24/7 app, was downloaded 3.7 million times, providing customers with a new two-way in-app messaging service, the ability to track orders, and new troubleshooting tools. When the pandemic struck, the progress already made on T22 enabled Telstra to fast-track the digitization and automation of many of its processes and systems and rapidly shift its office-based employees to working from home. This acceleration to digital channels and the workforce capacity challenges we have faced offshore have also provoked our thinking on our customer service model for the future. As a consequence, we will be investing even more in digital, including messaging. Under our T22 strategy, our aspirations had been to reduce the number of calls to our call centres by 2/3 by financial year 22. We are already very close to that run rate now, said Mr. Penn. This means that over time we will still need a smaller call centre workforce for our consumer and small business customers, and our aspiration is that by the end of our T22 program, all inbound calls from these customers will be answered in Australia. Today we are already at more than 60%. But you know what's going to happen? Once you have it all to messaging, you don't need people on the other end as often. You can have chatbots. You can reduce the number of people that you need, have chatbots to guide a lot of people, and then only push them to a person if they need it. Market release. We're still going on. Telstra Plus passed 1 year of rewarding our customers with more than 2 million enrolled members, a milestone that was achieved ahead of schedule. 4.3 billion points have now been redeemed by customers, like the Qantas or the Velocity. They're building up another business, another reward business, another cross-marketing platform. T22 remains our biggest focus and the things we set out to achieve when we launched the strategy: radically simplifying and digitize, remove customer pain points, remove legacy systems and processes, remain just as relevant as the day they were announced, said Mr. Penn. We are now past the halfway point in delivering T22, and while we expect to see challenging conditions continue in financial year 21, our strategy means we're well positioned to respond to whatever lies ahead. Now, reading this, I'm just thinking, if you're a Telstra employee and you're familiar, understand the fact that their big drive is just cutting costs and reducing staff, essentially simplifying their business, they're going to remove legacy systems, so that means they'll get rid of people. And they're so kind to extend the firing purge until February. What if you've got a huge mortgage? What if you're one of these people that are mortgaged to the hilt? How can you sleep at night, everyone? Throughout the year, Telstra continued its clear leadership in 5G. More than 10 million people now live, work, or pass through 53 cities and towns in Telstra's 5G footprint every day, and approximately 1/3 of the population is covered with 5G. Telstra has exceeded the company's financial year 20 target of deploying 5G in 35 cities. Telstra has always been a leader in telecommunications technology, and we are the clear leader in Australia in 5G, as well as being at the forefront globally, Mr. Penn said. Earlier this year, we decided to bring forward $500 million of capital expenditure plans for the second half of financial year 21 into calendar year 2020. This is enabling us to accelerate our 5G rollout further while injecting much-needed investment into the economy. As a result, late last month, I announced that we have increased our ambition and plan to cover 75% of the population over 5G network by June next year. And, if you can get that, we're looking at other episodes where people are making a push change, where they're going rural. If you can get 5G internet a couple of hours from a city on your mobile, you don't need NBN for a lot of what most people do. I could do all my work then remotely. There's a consideration. One thing we were toying with was doing a big road trip with the kids, going on a big camping trip around the state. You could probably do it with 5G. If I had internet fast enough, I could. In financial year 20, Telstra also invested in extending its network to provide coverage to more people in regional and remote places. In the 5 years to the end of June this year, we have invested $7.5 billion in our mobile network nationally, with $3 billion of that invested in regional areas alone. This year, we deployed world-first technology that effectively doubles the range of 4G mobile base stations, increasing it by up to 200 kilometers for some LOT solutions, increasing the network to nearly 4 million square kilometers across the country. These are big wins for our regional and remote customers, Mr. Penn said. During the year, a new Telstra InfraCo organizational structure and operating model was implemented, and a heads of agreement between InfraCo and Telstra put in place for commercial, service level and operating arrangements. Telstra also continued to make progress on the T22 target of monetizing up to $2 billion worth of assets to strengthen its balance sheet, recently announcing that it had entered into an agreement to sell and lease back its data center complex in Clayton, Victoria. Once completed, the agreement will bring the asset monetization total to over $1.5 billion, and Telstra will continue to pursue opportunities in financial year 21 with a view to getting closer to $2 billion. So decisive action on the pandemic. Telstra estimates the financial impact of the pandemic during financial year 20 was approximately $200 million in underlying earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. The enormous ongoing disruption and pain caused by the pandemic has made the past few months extraordinarily challenging for everyone, said Mr. Penn. However, we have been thoughtful about the best ways we can make a difference and taken strong and decisive action to support our employees, our customers, and the community. In March, Telstra provided employees with pandemic leave, shifted office-based work to working from home, and put further job reduction announcements on hold. The company also put assistance measures in place for customers, helped small businesses shift online or go into hibernation, recruited temporary employees for customer service roles in Australia, and extended all sponsorship agreements that would have expired during 2020. So a leading responsible business. Earlier this year, I commented that as we entered the 2020s, there was never been a more important time for businesses to think deeply about the roles it plays in society. This has only been reinforced during the pandemic and the bushfires, Mr. Penn said. During the bushfires, Telstra provided vital infrastructure for emergency services and community evacuation centres, answering more than 55,000 calls from customers making inquiries and seeking support, and paid the mobile phone bills for around 10,000 firefighters and SES workers over December and January. Telstra also provided free access to its payphone network. Do they still have a payphone network? And Telstra Air Wi-Fi hotspots. Investment in supporting customers and restoring bushfire damage to infrastructure will amount to $44 million across financial year 20 and 21. During the year, Telstra became carbon neutral in its operations, and its challenger brand Belong became carbon neutral in its products and services. Telstra also made progress on its commitment to sourcing 100% renewable energy by 2025 and reducing overall emissions by 50% by 2030. I strongly believe that being a responsible business, supporting our people, customers, and economy creates long-term value for shareholders, said Mr. Penn. Central to this is how we live up to our organizational purpose and values, not just what is our contracts. Despite our aspirations and hard work, we know we don't always get things right. Our practices have also let down some of our customers in Indigenous communities. The lessons we are learning from this are helping us redefine our understanding of what responsible business looks like, and we must hold ourselves accountable to these standards. Telstra is currently cooperating with the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission as they conduct an investigation into Telstra's sales, complaint handling, and debt collection practices to determine whether there has been misleading or deceptive conduct, unconscionable conduct, or false or misleading representations. Having considered all the information available, Telstra has made a provision of $50 million in financial year 20 accounts for any penalties. So there you go. So they're putting money aside for a penalty, guys. What is that? I mean, look at what they're saying. That, okay, they pay for some phone bills for bushfires. They're buying carbon credits to offset their energy usage. But they're firing a truckload of people, and they've just paused that for a couple of months. They've got, they put $50 million aside in case they get done for all of these issues with the ACCC. Stellar company there, guys. In the year ahead, Telstra provided financial guidance for financial year 21 on a range of metrics. For financial year 21, total income is expected to be in the range of 23.2 to 25.1 billion. Underlying earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization in the range of 6.5 to 7 billion. Net one-off NBN DA receipts, less NBN net cost to connect in the range of 0.7 to 1 billion. Capital expenditure of 2.8 to 3.2 billion and free cash flow after operating lease payments of 2.8 to 3.3. The in-year NBN headwind for financial year 21 is expected to have a negative impact on underlying earnings before interest, tax, and amortization of approximately 700 million. To achieve growth, excluding the in-year NBN headwinds of 21, underlying EBITDA will need to be around midpoint of the guidance range. Guidance for financial year 21 underlying earnings before interest, tax, and amortization assumes an estimated negative impact of the pandemic in financial year 21 of approximately 400 million. Telstra also adjusts its T22 target for return on investment capital to be greater than 7% by financial year 23. Several things have changed since we set our ROIC ambition as part of the launch of our T22 strategy. We have experienced deep competition across products and slower return on to growth, especially in mobile. In addition, AASB 16 was implemented, resulting in a 1 percentage point reduction in ROIC, which previously caused us to push out our target by a year. In the same period, our WACC has also reduced by approximately 1.5 percentage points, said Mr. Penn. We've invested and will continue to invest for long-term returns and opportunities, especially in mobile and our T22 strategy, the benefits of which will be realized over time. Our long-term ambition is to grow return on investment capital. So there we have it, guys. And you can go through the full details on the ASX website. I'll link to this document if you'd like to look at the others, the full report. But we'll just jump over and have a quick look at some aspects of the presentation that they have here. You can see they're well positioned past the midway point of their T22 strategy. They're maintaining their dividends, and it's all going good. Financial headlines: total income down 5.9%. Report lease adjusted down 5.9%. Underlying EBITDA down 9.7%. We can have here reported lease adjustments down 12.6%. Operating highlights: mobile service net adds 240,000, retail postpaid handhelds, and we've seen that in the other report. So there we have it, guys. Telstra's profits down 15%, still pushing ahead, relaxing the staff reductions. It'll be interesting to see where it goes in the future. Their yield isn't anything exciting, 3.14%, but then again, I guess that's higher than inflation and much more than you get with the banks. And there could be potential for capital growth. What do you think, everyone? Telstra really was the darling child for a lot of people back in the day, but now it's hovering around $3. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve or Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care everyone. I'll see you next time.